The ocean had always terrified Angela. Its vastness, its silence, the way it could turn from tranquil to violent in seconds. But standing barefoot on the deck of a hijacked luxury yacht, with zip-tied wrists and the taste of salt and adrenaline on her lips, she decided she'd never truly feared the sea until she looked into the eyes of the woman who now owned it. The woman's boots echoed like thunder on the soaked deck as she approached, long coat whipping in the wind, and a pistol holstered at her hip like an afterthought. She didn't walk. She stalked, as if the ship belonged to her, as if everything on it, including the terrified hostages, were mere pieces in a game she had already won. Angela's breath caught as their eyes met. Storm gray, unreadable. The woman's face was cut from ice and fury, yet there was something about her that drew Angela in like gravity. She stopped just inches away, her voice low and calm, almost amused. "You're the CEO," she said, not a question. Angela nodded, swallowing hard. Angela Quinn. "Of course you are," the woman murmured. Then she leaned in, her breath warm against Angela's temple. "You'll do." And just like that, Angela was yanked away from the rest of the crew and marched toward the exit ramp. Shouts erupted behind her, but no one dared to interfere. Not when the pirates were so methodical, so silent, so professional. Not when the one leading them looked like a storm given flesh. Rain poured in sheets as Angela was forced onto a sleek black vessel docked beside her yacht. No name, no flags, just matte steel and menace. Inside, the scent of brine and oil mixed with leather and sea salt. Angela was shoved into a tight room, metal walls, bolted furniture, a porthole revealing the roiling sea. The door slammed shut. She sat there, trembling, soaked, every heartbeat screaming questions her mouth couldn't form. Who were these people? Why her? What would they demand? Hours passed. Or maybe minutes. Time dissolved in the dark. Then the door opened again, and she walked in. The pirate. The captain. Angela stood instinctively, her body tense. "Why am I here?" The woman tilted her head. "Because you're valuable. And I need leverage." "Money?" Angela asked, eyes narrowing. "Is that all this is?" "Money," the woman repeated, as if tasting the word. "Perhaps. Or maybe I just like collecting rare things." She circled Angela slowly, like a predator testing the air around its prey. "Tell me, Ms. Quinn, have you ever been truly powerless before?" Angela stiffened. "You think tying me up makes you powerful?" The woman smiled, not kindly. "No. This makes me powerful." She stepped forward and reached out. For a moment, Angela thought she'd be struck. But instead, the captain grasped her jaw lightly, tilting her face up to meet her gaze. Her thumb brushed the line of Angela's cheekbone, too gentle for someone so dangerous. "I could have taken your crew, your cargo, your yacht, but I took you. Ask yourself why." Angela's heart pounded so loud it drowned the waves outside. She opened her mouth, but no sound came. The captain pulled away, her expression unreadable. "You'll stay in this room until I decide what to do with you. Don't try to escape. You won't succeed. And if you do," she leaned in again, whispering now, "there are worse things than drowning out here." With that, she turned and left. The door locked behind her with a hiss. Alone again, Angela collapsed onto the small cot bolted to the wall, her mind a whirlwind. Who was this woman? What did she really want? Because there was something in her eyes that spoke of more than ransom. Something broken. Something burning. And despite every rational instinct, Angela wasn't just afraid. She was curious. When she closed her eyes, it wasn't the sea she saw. It was that gaze. That voice. That impossible, magnetic presence. Somewhere in the heart of the storm, she'd been chosen. And whatever came next, it would not be simple, or safe, or forgettable. Angela had no way of knowing how long she'd been on the ship. The days bled together in the metallic stillness of her cell. No clocks. No windows, except for the single round porthole that showed nothing but water and sky, both the same dead gray every time she looked. Her meals were slid through a hatch in the door, silent and sterile. She was fed, but kept in isolation, and no one, not even a faceless guard, entered her room since the night the captain had walked in and left her shaken. Angela had never been afraid of women, and certainly not of control. She was the one who gave orders, ran multi-million-dollar logistics operations, sat at boardroom tables full of men who mistook her for soft until she spoke. But that woman, that captain, had stripped her of every illusion of control in under 3 minutes. And yet, it wasn't the loss of power that unsettled her the most. It was the memory of a callous thumb against her cheek. The brief brush of gentleness. The suggestion that there was something more behind those storm-colored eyes. Something Angela wanted to understand. Something that felt like danger wrapped in longing. She hated that. She hated how much she thought about her. On what must have been the 4th or 5th evening, judging by the fading light through the porthole, the door finally hissed open. Angela turned sharply, expecting a new guard or a threat. But it was her. Again. The captain stepped into the room with that same slow, deliberate gait, like a panther deciding whether to strike. But this time, she wasn't wearing her long coat. Instead, she wore dark, close-fitting clothes that hugged her lean frame and made her look even more lethal. "Get up," she said flatly. "You're eating with me tonight." Angela blinked. "Excuse me? You're not deaf. Don't make me repeat myself." "Why?" "Because I said so." The captain turned on her heel and walked out without waiting to see if Angela followed. For a moment, pride told her to stay, to refuse. But the gnawing curiosity, the need to see her again up close, maybe even get a glimpse behind that shield, pulled harder. Angela followed. She was led through narrow metal corridors, dimly lit and eerily quiet. The ship felt alive somehow, humming beneath her feet, but strangely empty. No music, no voices, no laughter. Just the low mechanical growl of engines and the occasional creak of steel. The captain opened a hatch to what appeared to be a private dining room. Not extravagant. Nothing on this ship was, but tidy, utilitarian, with a single table bolted to the floor and 2 chairs facing each other. There was food already set. Grilled fish, olives, bread, wine. "Sit," the captain said, motioning to one side. Angela did, slowly. "Are you trying to impress me with civility now? Or poison me more politely?" The captain poured wine into 2 small metal cups. "If I wanted you dead, you'd already be ash at the bottom of the sea." She handed Angela a cup and sat across from her, legs spread with casual authority.
"Eat."
Angela took a sip of wine first, never breaking eye contact. "Do you do this with all your hostages?" "Only the interesting ones." Angela blinked. "So, I'm interesting?" The captain's mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. Almost. "You talk back. You don't cry. And you look at me like you think you can read me." "Can I?" Angela asked, tilting her head. The silence between them thickened. The captain didn't answer immediately. She speared a piece of fish, chewed slowly, swallowed. Then, "No," Angela leaned forward. "You kidnapped me, threatened me, isolated me, and now you're offering me wine and grilled sea bass. You expect me to sit here and play dinner guest like this isn't completely insane." "You are sitting here," the captain said, voice low and unreadable. "That says more about you than it does about me. You said I was leverage. But I think I'm something else to you." "Careful," the captain warned. "Am I wrong?" Silence. Then, with a slow inhale, the captain set her fork down. "Why do you keep provoking me? Why do you keep coming back to me?" Angela shot back. "You could have left me locked away and forgotten." "I don't forget things," she said quietly. "Especially not people." Something flickered in her expression then, something like regret or pain. But it vanished so quickly Angela almost doubted it had ever been there. "You're not just a name on a ransom note, Angela Quinn. You're the question I haven't decided how to answer yet." Angela's heart pounded. That was the first time she'd heard her own name on the captain's lips, and it sounded almost reverent.
"So answer it," she said.
The captain stood abruptly. "We're done for tonight. Wait, you'll be escorted back to your room. No more questions. Tell me your name, Angela said, rising too. If I'm not just leverage, then tell me something real. The captain froze at the door. For a moment, her shoulders stiffened, and Angela swore she saw a tremor run down her spine. But then, just like every other time, the mask returned. Eat your fish, Miss Quinn. I'll decide when you're ready to know who I am. She left before Angela could respond. That night, back in her small cell, Angela couldn't sleep. Not because of fear. Not because of discomfort. But because of the way the captain had looked at her across that table. Like she wasn't a prisoner at all, but something far more dangerous. Something intimate. She'd seen something crack. A hairline fracture in that icy control. And in that fracture, Angela had glimpsed the fire. And God help her, she wanted to see it again. Angela didn't expect the door to unlock again so soon. Not after the emotionally charged dinner, the sharp edges of their conversation, the way the captain had left as if her own walls were about to shatter. She'd replayed every second of that encounter 100 times in her mind. Every glance, every word, every flicker of emotion that passed across that infuriatingly stoic face. But when the door slid open just after midnight, she wasn't prepared. A crew member, silent, tall, dressed in black, gestured with a nod. No words, just an order. Angela hesitated. She'd learned quickly that resistance got her nowhere. But this time, her gut told her this wasn't protocol. This wasn't routine. This was something else. She followed. No handcuffs. No guards flanking her. Just a silent escort through the steel maze of the ship, up narrow stairs, past rusted hatches, until they reached a ladder that led to the upper deck. Cold wind hit her first. Then salt. Then stars. The Mediterranean sky stretched endlessly above her, ink black and scattered with stars so bright they looked unreal. The moon hung low, full and heavy, bathing the ship in silver. And there, standing alone at the very front of the vessel, hands gripping the rail, coat billowing in the wind, was her. Angela stopped. The crew member gave a slight nod, then turned and left without a word, leaving her utterly alone with the woman who had taken her life and flipped it inside out. The captain didn't turn around, didn't speak, just stared out into the black waves, body motionless, but for the wind catching her coat. Angela stepped closer, cautious. You called me up here? Still no reply. For a moment, Angela considered walking away. But her curiosity was stronger than her pride. She moved to the railing, standing a meter or so away from her captor, and turned her face toward the sea. The silence between them was deafening. And then, finally, I can't sleep when it's like this. Her voice was quieter than Angela had ever heard it. Introspective.
Raw.
When it's too calm. Angela glanced at her. I thought calm seas were good for sailing. Not for people like me. Angela studied the side of her face. She looked different in moonlight. Less carved from steel. Softer somehow. Still sharp, but no longer impenetrable. People like you, she echoed. People who have too much time to think when the world goes quiet. A long pause. Then she turned her head slightly, just enough for their eyes to meet in the dim silver light. Do you know what it's like to lose everything because you trusted the wrong person? Angela's chest tightened. Yes, she said. You do. I trusted a man to help me build my company. He smiled, promised the world, made me believe I was invincible. Then he sold out to my biggest competitor and walked away with half of everything I'd built, including people I thought were loyal. She gave a bitter laugh. So yes, I know what betrayal feels like. The captain stared at her for a long, silent moment. That's why you looked at me the way you did. You recognized the damage. Angela didn't reply. She didn't need to. The sea lapped gently against the hull below them. The ship rocked almost imperceptibly. For the first time, Angela realized they were anchored, not moving. As if the ship itself had paused, holding its breath for this moment. Why me? She asked quietly. The captain turned away again, back to the horizon. I don't know. At first, it was tactical. You were a valuable hostage. Smart. Respected. Your company would pay well to get you back. At first, Angela pressed. Another long silence. Then, you spoke to me like I was still a person. Angela blinked. What? You didn't cower.
You didn't beg.
You looked at me like I was something you wanted to figure out. Like I wasn't a monster. Angela's voice softened. Because you're not. That made the captain laugh, a low, bitter sound. Aren't I? Love what you've seen so far and want to help me keep creating these awesome stories on this channel? Then subscribe and hit the bell. Your subscription supports the channel and makes sure you get more exciting stories. She turned her whole body toward Angela now, moonlight illuminating her face. I've done things you couldn't stomach. Things that would make you hate me if you knew. Then tell me, Angela said, stepping closer. Let me decide for myself. The captain's jaw tightened. She looked away, her throat working as she swallowed something down. Then, slowly, she leaned both arms on the railing and whispered, I once gave an order that got 20 people killed. Innocents. Civilians. I knew the risk, but I took it anyway.
And I lived.
I always live. The words hung between them like smoke. Angela felt the ache in her chest. The weight behind that confession. You regret it, she said. Every day. Another silence. Then, why are you telling me this? Angela asked. Because you're the first person in years who made me want to tell anyone anything. She turned again, closer now, her eyes searching Angela's face. I don't know what this is. I don't know what to call it. But it's there. And it's making me reckless. You think wanting someone makes you weak? Angela asked, breath catching. Yes, she said. But I also think not wanting you would be a lie I'm not willing to tell myself anymore. The air between them snapped taut. Angela's pulse surged. They were so close now, she could see the faint scar at the edge of the captain's lip, the way the moonlight caught in her lashes, the tremor in her fingers where they gripped the rail. She wanted to touch her, to close that last inch of distance. But she didn't. Not yet. Do I get to know your name tonight? Angela whispered. The captain's lips parted slightly. She looked as though she might speak. But then, not yet, she said and stepped back. The cold rush of night air filled the space between them again. I'm not ready. Angela nodded slowly, heart pounding. Then I'll wait. A flicker of something, relief? Guilt, crossed the captain's face. You're dangerous, she said. You make me feel things I've spent years burying. And you make me want to know what's buried. The captain turned then, walking away into the shadows of the upper deck, leaving Angela alone at the bow. But something had shifted. Irrevocably. The distance between them had narrowed. The walls were cracking. And when Angela looked out at the moonlit sea, she no longer felt like a prisoner. She felt like a storm was coming. One that neither of them would escape unchanged. The days blurred, but everything after that night at the bow felt different. Angela could still feel the wind between them, the invisible thread tightening around her ribs every time she remembered the way the captain had looked at her, raw, shaken, real. Something had cracked open in her, and Angela knew it hadn't closed again. The ship was moving now, slowly but surely, cutting across the black expanse of sea under stars and silence. She no longer asked where they were going. Somehow, that question had become secondary to who they were when no one was watching. Angela's confinement changed subtly. Her door no longer locked from the outside. She was allowed to walk the corridors alone, with crew members nodding respectfully as she passed but never engaging. She was an anomaly here, both prisoner and something else. Something the crew didn't quite understand, but had learned not to question. And she knew why. The crew didn't look at her the way the captain did. They didn't pause when she walked into a room. They didn't linger in silence like they were holding their breath. But the captain did. Angela saw her only in fragments, moments across the deck, brief eye contact in the mess hall, a brush of hands when passing a chart. It was all unspoken. But the silence between them was charged now, full of unsaid things that sparked in the air like static. On the 5th night since the bow, Angela woke in darkness. The sound of rain echoed against the hull, soft and steady, and the ship swayed gently beneath her. She stood, restless, needing air, needing something. Her bare feet made no sound as she climbed to the deck, wind pulling at her hair, night wrapping around her like a secret. The storm wasn't violent, just rain and wind and mist, like the sea was sighing. And there, standing under the partial shelter near the bridge, was the captain. Again. This time, she turned when Angela stepped onto the deck. She was drenched already, hair wet, coat unbuttoned, breathing like she'd been running from something inside herself. "Couldn't sleep?" Angela asked softly. The captain shook her head. "The rain helps me forget things. But you," she trailed off, eyes dark. "You make me remember." Angela stepped forward, heart pounding, then stopped running. A beat. Then two. And then she spoke, barely above the wind. "Do you know what Ayanad means?" Angela's brow furrowed. "It's your name." "It's a lie," the woman said. "A rearranged version of the truth. Just like everything else on this ship." Angela's breath hitched. "Then what's the truth?" A pause. The captain looked at her like she was about to jump off a cliff. And maybe she was. "Diana," she whispered. "My name is Diana." Angela stared at her, the syllables echoing through her like thunder. Not because it was beautiful, but because of the way she said it, like it had cost her everything. "Diana," Angela repeated, slow and reverent, like a secret being accepted instead of weaponized. Diana took a step closer. "No one on this ship knows that name. I buried it. Years ago. Along with the girl who used to wear it. But she's not dead," Angela said. "She's standing right in front of me." Diana's throat worked. Her eyes were glass and fire and guilt all at once. "You shouldn't want this," she said, voice trembling. "I've hurt people. I'm not stable. I'm not safe." "You're human," Angela said. "And I see you." Another step. They were inches apart now. Rain sliding down their faces, hair clinging to skin, the ocean roaring behind them like a beast in its sleep. Diana looked at her, wide-eyed, lost, like no one had touched her without taking something in a very long time. "I don't know how to do this," she confessed. "Then don't do it alone." And then, finally, Angela reached up. Her hand touched Diana's jaw, gentle but firm, guiding her eyes back to hers. No games. No walls. Just heat and hunger and truth. Diana leaned in like she didn't know how to stop herself. Her breath trembled against Angela's lips, and for a heartbeat, neither moved. Then their mouths met, and the world fell silent. The kiss wasn't soft. It wasn't careful. It was the kind of kiss that breaks things, that starts fires, that says I see you, and I want you anyway. Diana's hands were rough on Angela's waist, pulling her in like gravity itself had finally won. Angela responded with everything she'd held back, fingers in wet hair, nails against a soaked collar, lips that refused to be gentle. It wasn't a kiss of discovery. It was a kiss of recognition, of inevitability. When they pulled apart, breathless, their foreheads touched. Rain still poured. The sea still moved. But something had stilled inside both of them. "Diana," Angela whispered again, like an anchor. "If you push me away after this, I'll still come back." Diana's eyes closed. "Then I won't push you. A promise." A crack wide open. And maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something neither of them had ever believed they deserved. Angela woke with the memory of Diana's lips still imprinted on her skin. Her body hadn't fully dried from the rain, and her mind hadn't fully recovered from the storm of what had passed between them. That kiss, fierce, desperate, defiant, had rewritten something fundamental between them. And now everything felt more dangerous. Not because Diana had kissed her, but because she hadn't pulled away afterward. She had stayed, had whispered promises, had allowed herself to be seen. But the morning brought a different kind of storm. The ship was louder than usual, boots on metal, clipped voices, tension in the air that hadn't been there before. Angela dressed quickly, slipped into the hallway, and followed the current of urgency until she reached the observation deck. She didn't need to ask what was wrong. On the radar screen, a red blip pulsed closer. A second ship. Fast. No flag. No signal. No attempt to hide. A threat. How long until intercept? Diana's voice was steady, but Angela could hear the edge in it. Sharp, cold, calculating. 20 minutes, maybe less, the radar officer answered. Diana turned, eyes sweeping the room until they landed on Angela. Something flickered there, concern, conflict, but she said nothing. Not yet. Angela stepped closer, anyway. Who are they? Pirates, Diana said. But not like us. You're not a pirate, Angela replied. You're a commander pretending to be one. That earned her a glance. A muscle ticked in Diana's jaw. These men don't negotiate. They don't want cargo. They want bodies. The room went still. Why are they coming after you? Angela asked, already knowing the answer. Diana looked away. Because I killed someone who mattered to them. And because I have something they want. Me. Diana didn't deny it. Outside, the wind was picking up. The sea grew restless, waves beginning to slap harder against the hull. Angela followed Diana onto the bridge, where orders were being barked and weapons loaded. The crew was efficient, fearless, loyal. They didn't question her. But Angela saw it now, the way they watched her closely when she gave a command, the way some of them glanced to her too, eyes flicking with curiosity and tension. She wasn't just a hostage anymore. She was hers. Diana pulled Angela aside, voice low but urgent. You need to go below deck. No, Angela. You kiss me, Angela said, stepping close. You gave me your name. I'm not going to hide like I don't matter just because danger's arrived. Diana's lips parted like she wanted to protest, but something in Angela's face stopped her. Please, Angela whispered. Don't shut me out now. Diana closed her eyes, exhaled slowly, and when she opened them, her decision was clear. Then stay close. You move when I move. No heroics.
Deal.
The enemy ship came into view minutes later, sleek, aggressive, painted with war instead of stealth. It wasn't there to trade threats.
It was there to attack.
The moment they were within range, shots rang out, warning fire, ripping through the sea like knives. Diana didn't flinch. She stood at the front of her crew like a living wall, barking commands, responding with fire of her own. Angela watched, heart thundering, as chaos erupted around her. And yet Diana moved like she was born in it, fearless, precise, almost beautiful in her fury. But when one of the blasts hit closer than expected, throwing a crew member off balance, Angela saw something that changed everything. Diana flinched. Just for a second. She reached for her side, where her coat had torn, blood blooming under her fingers. Diana. Angela rushed forward, but Diana pushed her back. I'm fine. You're not. Another hit rocked the ship. The crew scrambled to stabilize systems. And Angela made a choice. She grabbed the nearest crew member, a woman with calculating eyes and a steady hand. Get me a med kit.
Now.
To her surprise, the woman obeyed. Maybe because of the tone. Or maybe because she, too, had seen the way Diana had looked at Angela. Within minutes, Angela was pushing Diana back into the captain's quarters, slamming the door shut. Sit. Now. Angela, this is not the time. You gave me your name, Angela snapped. You don't get to bleed alone now. Diana stared at her, stunned. Then slowly she sat. Angela peeled back the coat and shirt beneath, revealing a shallow gash along her ribs. Not life-threatening, but deep enough to shake her. She worked quickly, hands steady, trying not to notice how warm Diana's skin was beneath her touch. How close they were. You keep pretending nothing can hurt you, Angela said. But it's not true. And you don't have to do that with me. Diana's gaze burned into her. You think I'm afraid of pain? No, Angela said, pressing gauze to the wound. I think you're afraid of needing someone again. The silence that followed was louder than the gunfire still echoing outside. Diana didn't look away. I lost everything once. My ship, my family, my identity, and the woman I trusted with all of it handed me over for a bounty. Her voice cracked.
Just barely.
I swore I'd never need anyone again. Angela's hands slowed. But you do. Diana didn't speak. She didn't need to.
The walls were gone.
And when Angela leaned in again, it wasn't just to check her wound. Their foreheads touched. Breath mingled. And in the middle of a war, they found something like peace. I don't care about the danger, Angela whispered. I'd rather be in the storm with you than safe without you. Diana's hand cupped her cheek. Her thumb traced the corner of Angela's mouth, gentle despite the tremble. You're not what I expected. Neither are you. Another kiss. Slower this time.
Deeper.
Not a fire, but a fuse smoldering, inevitable. When they pulled apart, Diana stood. Her strength returned. Her eyes sharper. But now, Angela could see what was behind them.
Fear. Hope. Want.
I have to finish this, Diana said. Then let me finish it with you. The enemy ship was closing fast, and Diana's vessel groaned under the strain of maneuvering through narrow rock formations, hidden channels she knew better than any map ever could. Angela stood at her side on the bridge, arms braced against the console, eyes flicking between radar signals and the stormy horizon. The kiss still burned on her lips, but there was no time to feel. Only to act. Only to survive. Diana's voice was crisp, commanding. We're going to lead them into the channel between those two cliffs. It's shallow, tight, but if we make it through, they won't. And if we don't? Angela asked, her pulse racing. Diana didn't answer.
She didn't need to.
Angela could feel the stakes in the tension of her crew, in the way hands gripped weapons and eyes flicked to her like she was no longer just a hostage, but something far more dangerous. Diana's weakness. The ship dove toward the cliffs. The sea narrowed. The wind howled through stone walls as the vessel skimmed past jagged rocks. The enemy followed, brazen and overconfident. But they didn't know what Diana knew. A hidden reef just beneath the surface, razor sharp, waiting to rip open the belly of a careless ship. Diana's crew moved in synchronized precision. Angela held her breath as alarms blared and the metal of the hull screamed from proximity. Then a sound like thunder.
Not from them.
From the enemy. A deafening crack, splintering through the air as their ship collided with the reef. Flames erupted. Chaos followed. But before Diana could exhale, another signal appeared on the radar. A third ship. Smaller.
Faster.
And heading straight for them. Diana's face hardened. It's a decoy. The big one was a distraction. For what? Angela asked. But her answer came too soon. A sudden explosion rocked the lower deck. Smoke curled into the air. The ship veered violently. Crew scattered, barking orders. Diana grabbed Angela's arm. Come with me. What's happening? They got someone on board. A traitor. Or worse, a ghost from Diana's past. She led Angela through narrow corridors now choked with smoke and panic. Shouts echoed. Lights flickered. Angela's heart pounded, not from fear, but from the way Diana never let go of her hand, even as everything burned. They reached the engine room and found two crew members unconscious, weapons stolen, security override disabled. Diana cursed under her breath. They're not here to sink us. They're here for you. Angela froze. Me? You're the prize. Ransom. Revenge. Power. Take your pick. Diana stepped back, eyes locking onto hers. There's an emergency escape vessel docked under the rear deck. I'm taking you there. You're leaving.
Now.
No, Angela. I'm not leaving you. I told you that. This isn't a negotiation, Diana snapped. You've seen what I've done, what I'm willing to become. But if anything happened to you because of me, then it would mean I chose you. Angela cut in, voice trembling. I'm not your prisoner anymore. I'm here because I want to be. So, if I die on this ship, it's not your fault. It's my choice. Diana looked like she'd been struck. Why would you choose this? Because the night you told me your name, you gave me more than a truth. You gave me something to believe in. You gave yourself. The alarm blared again. Diana's comm unit crackled. Captain, they've reached the upper deck. Diana cursed again, pulled a weapon from her belt, handed it to Angela. Safety's here. Only fire if you have no choice. Angela took it. Her hands didn't shake. Lead the way. The next moments moved like a dream soaked in adrenaline. They fought their way up the ship, Diana moving like a shadow, deadly and precise. Angela stayed close, heart thundering, eyes wide, forcing herself to focus. Then, on the upper deck, they found him. A man, tall, eyes cold, standing at the edge with two of Diana's crew kneeling in front of him, disarmed. He turned slowly, grin sharp. "Ionad," he said mockingly. Diana stiffened. Angela watched the name strike her like a slap. "I don't go by that anymore," she said. "No," the man said. "You go by Diana now." How quaint. He looked past her, right at Angela. "So this is what unmade you." Angela stepped forward without thinking. "She's not unmade. She's becoming." "Then let's see if she can become a corpse," he said, and raised his weapon. Angela didn't think. She moved. Diana did too. A single shot rang out. Angela fell. Not from a bullet, but from Diana's tackle. Her body slammed Angela's to the deck, shielding her as the shot missed by inches. Diana rolled, fired once, twice, the man dropped. Silence. The wind howled. Diana turned to Angela, panic in her eyes. "Are you hurt?" Angela shook her head, breathless.
No.
"You?" Diana pulled her hand away from her side. Blood again. "Damn it." Angela pressed both hands to the wound. "We need medical." Diana nodded faintly. "Later. Right now, I just need you to know something." "What?" Angela whispered. Diana looked at her like the world could end at any moment. "I've never trusted anyone like this. I don't know how to be soft. Or good. But I swear to you, I would burn this entire ocean before I let them take you from me." Angela leaned forward, kissed her hard. "Then don't let go." And Diana didn't. For the first time since her capture, Angela wasn't escorted, observed, or restrained. She walked the ship freely now, and the crew, once indifferent or suspicious, watched her with wary eyes. Some nodded. Some looked away. A few whispered behind her back, voices low and clipped. She wasn't just the hostage anymore. She was something else entirely now. The woman Diana bled for. The one who stayed. The one who kissed her in the middle of a firefight and whispered, "Don't let go." And Diana hadn't. In the 3 days since the ambush, the dynamic of the ship had shifted. The injured were healing. The traitor was buried at sea. The deck had been scrubbed of blood, but tension still stained the air, especially when Angela walked into a room. She could feel it in the way conversations paused when she entered, in the way some crew members nodded at her not with respect, but with careful calculation. What is she to the captain now? What will she become? Is she weakness or weapon? Diana didn't speak of it. Not to the crew. Not even to Angela. But at night, she came to her cabin, never announced, never asking, and sat on the edge of Angela's cot like she didn't know how to exist anywhere else. Sometimes they kissed. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes she just held Angela's hand in silence, like touch was the only language left she trusted. And Angela understood. Diana had been carved by betrayal, shaped by abandonment, and softened only in secret. But now, something new was blooming, slowly, hesitantly.
Trust.
The beginning of it. Still raw. Still vulnerable. But real. Angela found herself wandering into the captain's quarters while Diana was topside, overseeing repairs. The room was dim, spare, but unmistakably hers. Maps with inked paths no satellite would ever recognize, old naval coats with weathered buttons, a cracked compass that looked more sentimental than functional. And on the desk, half hidden beneath a folded chart, a leather-bound book, worn at the edges. Unlabeled. She didn't mean to open it. Not really. But her fingers moved before her mind could stop them. Inside, the pages weren't written in code, but they may as well have been. Each word steeped in ache and rage and longing. The handwriting was sharp, precise, controlled even in its grief. Angela flipped to an early entry. I remember the way she said my name before she turned on me. Diana. Like it was a promise. like it wasn't the beginning of a betrayal. She turned the page. I trusted her with my ship, with my future, with the girl I used to be, and when she handed me over for money, I realized love is a luxury I can't afford. Not anymore. Not ever again. Angela froze. Her eyes burned, heart pounding. The entries that followed were fragments, memories of battles, of hiding, of pain, but always threaded with the same name, Isolde. Over and over again. The ghost Diana never mentioned. The one who had come before. The one who had ruined her. Angela closed the diary slowly. Her chest felt tight, like something sacred had cracked in her hands. Not because she was jealous, but because she understood. Diana had loved, had trusted,
Had been shattered.
and now, even after everything, she was trying to love again. That night, when Diana entered her room, Angela didn't pretend. She didn't hide the book. She held it gently in her lap, waiting. Diana stopped in the doorway, stiffened. You read it. Angela nodded. Not all of it. Just enough to know. Diana's voice dropped. I should be angry, but you're not. Silence. Then Diana sat slowly beside her, eyes locked on the floor. She was the first person who ever looked at me like I wasn't broken. And then she broke you. Diana's throat worked. Yes. Angela reached out, took her hand. I'm not her. No, Diana said softly. You're worse. Angela blinked. What? Diana looked up, and for the first time, her expression was unguarded. Because I didn't even try to stop myself with you. I didn't plan it. I didn't measure the risk. I just let you in. Angela leaned closer. And, do you regret it? Diana's answer came, without hesitation. Not for a second. The kiss that followed was slow and aching. A confession made with mouths instead of words. Angela pulled her in, and Diana let herself be pulled. Into warmth, into comfort, into something neither of them could name but both had begun to need. Later, tangled in sheets that smelled like salt and steel and home, Angela whispered, Why haven't you told the crew? Diana didn't open her eyes. Because they need me to be invincible. But you're not.
No.
I'm not. Not with you. A pause. Some of them already suspect.
I can see it.
The way they look at you, you make them nervous.
Why?
Because I'm letting someone close. And they know what happened the last time I did. Angela was quiet. Then, if I had to prove to them that I was here for you and not for power, how would I do it? Diana turned her head, eyes half-lidded. You already have. You stayed. The next morning, Angela walked into the mess hall alone. For the first time, conversations didn't stop. They shifted. She felt the glances, curious, assessing. One crew member, the same woman who'd handed her the med kit during the ambush, stood up. Her name was Taryn. Lean, quiet, cold. She crossed the room in slow, measured steps. You're not going anywhere, are you?
Taryn asked.
No, Angela replied. I'm not. Taryn studied her. Then you need to be careful. Not everyone on this ship is ready to forget what you were when you first came aboard. And what was I? Angela asked. A liability, a threat, and maybe now a replacement. For who? For the woman the captain used to be. Angela's spine stiffened. I'm not here to change her. Taryn tilted her head. Maybe not, but you already are. She walked away. The words echoed long after she was gone. That night, Diana didn't come to Angela's room. And Angela didn't sleep. Diana hadn't come to her quarters in 2 nights. Not a word. Not a glance. Not even the distant sound of boots in the hallway at the same time they used to cross paths. And Angela felt it, not just as absence, but as a shift. A cold front moving through the steel bones of the ship, settling into every conversation, every glance. The crew had noticed too. They moved differently now. Quieter, slower, like they were waiting for something to break. Angela stood on the lower deck that morning, watching the sea roll beneath the metal grates. The water was calmer than it had been in days, but inside her, Everything churned. She hadn't pushed, hadn't demanded answers. Diana needed space, and she respected that. But space had turned to distance, and distance to doubt. And in the quiet, old questions began to whisper again. Was I a mistake? Was I the crack in her armor she regrets? Angela turned when she heard footsteps behind her.
Taryn.
Always Taryn. Lean, unreadable, eyes like slate. She hasn't spoken to you, the woman said, not a question. Angela didn't answer. Taryn stepped closer. That's not a surprise. This ship is her temple. We're her believers. And you, I'm what? Angela asked sharply. An outsider? A threat? A disruption. She needed disrupting. You think love makes her stronger? Taryn asked, voice low. It doesn't. It makes her bleed. We watched her fall apart once. Some of us won't let it happen again. Angela squared her shoulders. If you're threatening me, do it properly. Not yet, Taryn said with a faint smile. But be careful where you walk tonight. She turned and disappeared down the corridor. Angela stood there, heart thudding, unsure if what she'd just heard was a warning or a countdown. That night, Diana didn't come. Angela waited, curled on her cot, staring at the door, listening for a knock, hoping for boots. Nothing. Around midnight, she left. The halls were mostly empty, dim lights humming low. She walked toward the command deck, unsure what she'd say if she found Diana, unsure if she'd even be welcome. But halfway up the stairs, she heard voices.
Clipped.
Sharp.
Angry. She slowed.
Pressed herself against the wall, just out of sight. She's a distraction, someone said. We all see it. She was a hostage. Now she walks the ship like she owns it. Diana's compromise. We need to act before the ship goes down with both of them on it. You're talking mutiny, someone else hissed. I'm talking survival. Angela's breath froze. She backed away slowly, heart racing, until she was far enough to run. She reached Diana's quarters and slammed her fist on the door. Diana. Nothing. She tried again. Louder. Diana, open the door. After a pause, it opened.
Slowly.
And there she was, eyes shadowed, jacket half off, hands tense. Angela didn't wait. She stepped in and closed the door behind her. There's going to be a mutiny. Diana blinked. What? I heard them. On the stairwell. They're planning something. They think I've made you weak. Diana's face hardened. Who? Taryn's at the center of it. Of course she is. Angela stepped closer. Why didn't you come? Diana looked away. Because I thought if I distanced myself, the whispers would stop. That they'd fall back in line. And did they? No, so what now? Diana met her gaze finally. Now I stop hiding. Angela stared at her. What does that mean? But she didn't answer. Not yet. Instead, she opened the comm panel on the wall and pressed the ship-wide broadcast channel. All crew, report to the upper deck.
Now.
Her voice rang through every corridor, every room, sharp and commanding. Within minutes, the deck was filled. Rain began to fall soft, then harder. The ocean echoed beneath them. Diana stepped forward, facing her crew like a blade unsheathed. Angela stood behind her, unsure if she was supposed to speak, to move, to breathe. I know what you've been whispering, Diana said. Her voice cut through the air like a storm. I know some of you think I've gone soft. That I've let someone in who doesn't belong. That I'm weaker now than I was before. Silence. And then Taryn stepped out of the crowd. You're not weaker, she said. You're blind. I'm not blind, Diana said calmly. I see more clearly than I ever have. For the first time, I'm not just surviving. I'm choosing something. Someone. She turned slightly, looked right at Angela. I love her. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Angela's breath caught. Diana kept going. She's not a liability. She's the reason I didn't give up after that last attack. The reason I'm still standing. And if anyone has a problem with that, step forward now. Tension rippled. No one moved. Diana scanned them. I said step forward. Taryn looked ready, jaw clenched. fists curled. But she didn't move. No one did. Diana's voice softened. Then we're done here. She turned, walked past Angela without touching her, but said quietly as she passed, "Meet me in my quarters." Angela followed minutes later, chest tight, unsure what she'd find. Diana was standing at the window, drenched, trembling slightly. Angela crossed the room and reached for her. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes," Diana said. "I did. Because if I'm going to lose everything again, I'm not going to lose you in the shadows." Angela touched her face. "You said it. Out loud." "I meant it." Angela kissed her. Rain still clung to her lips. Salt and heat and something new, something permanent. This wasn't surrender. It was alignment. Diana wrapped her arms around her like she had no intention of ever letting go. "If they try again," Angela cut her off, "then let them come. I'm not leaving your side." And this time, Diana didn't try to stop her, because now the whole ship knew. And for once, she didn't care. It began just after dusk, the sky turning the color of bruises, the wind shifting direction like it had teeth. Angela was on the upper deck when the first gust slammed into the sails like a warning. She looked up and saw it coming, a wall of clouds so dark and towering it looked alive, and beneath it, waves already rising, frothing with menace. Diana stood beside her, face turned to the wind, eyes narrowing. "We don't outrun it," she said. "We face it." Angela didn't flinch. "Then let's face it together." The crew scrambled to secure everything that wasn't bolted down. Ropes snapped taut, rain lashed the deck sideways, and the sea roared as if it had been waiting for this exact moment to challenge them all. Diana took command as if born for it, barking orders, adjusting sails, leading with precision. But this storm was unlike anything Angela had seen. The sea was furious. The sky opened its mouth and screamed thunder. And beneath it all, she could feel the fear. Not just in herself, but in the crew. The same crew that had once followed Diana with unwavering loyalty now hesitated. Angela saw it in their eyes, the second-guessing, the glances between them, the unspoken thought, "She's not the same since the woman came aboard." Angela knew they meant her. "Captain," someone yelled over the wind. "We need to turn port now, or we hit the rocks." "No," Diana shouted back. "We ride the current through the channel. If we turn now, we capsize." But the helmsman faltered, hands trembling. He turned, looked not to Diana, but to Taryn. Not in a coup, not in defiance, in doubt. And it was more dangerous than all-out rebellion. Diana stepped forward, eyes blazing. "Follow my damn order." The helmsman didn't move. Lightning split the sky. The wheels spun. The ship tilted hard.
Crates slid.
A sailor screamed. Diana turned, only to see the ship veering starboard, straight toward the rocks. "Angela, get below." Diana shouted. "No." Angela pushed through wind and chaos, climbed the slippery stairs to the helm, heart pounding. She saw it clearly now, the fracture, the fear. The exact moment the crew stopped seeing Diana as unshakable. And she knew what she had to do. She grabbed the wheel. "Let go," she told the helmsman. "I've piloted multi-million-dollar vessels through worse than this. Move." He hesitated. Taryn stepped forward. "She's not crew." "No," Angela said, locking eyes with her. "I'm something else. I'm the woman your captain loves. The woman who stayed. And if none of you trust her right now, then trust me." For one impossible second, silence fell. Just the wind and the crash of waves. Then the helmsman stepped back. Angela gripped the wheel, heart thundering. "Diana," she shouted. "Tell me the coordinates, now." Diana stared at her, soaked to the bone, face pale from exhaustion, but her voice never wavered. "Bearing 170. Stay inside the channel." Angela turned the ship with everything she had, fighting the ocean, fighting the wind, fighting the doubt that tried to claw its way into her spine. The hull groaned. The sails snapped. The sea hissed like it wanted them dead. But she held. Diana climbed beside her, one hand on the railing, shouting adjustments, their voices merging, their wills aligned. For a moment, Angela saw it. Not just the storm, but the crew watching them. Watching her. Not as a captive. Not as a weakness. But as someone who stood between death and survival and chose to fight. As someone who earned her place. And then, with a final surge, the ship cut through the last wave and burst into calmer waters. The storm howled behind them, left howling at nothing but the sky. Silence followed. The kind of silence that tastes like survival. Angela let go of the wheel slowly, her fingers numb, her whole body shaking. Diana reached for her. "You saved us." "We saved each other," Angela whispered. Around them, the crew began to murmur. Then a cheer rose, hesitant at first, then louder. And louder. Angela turned and saw it, respect. Not love. Not trust. Not yet. But the beginning of both. Diana watched her with something close to awe. Later, back in her quarters, Angela peeled off her soaked clothes, muscles aching, adrenaline finally giving way to exhaustion. Diana entered without knocking. She crossed the room, dripping and furious and beautiful in the way only someone forged by storms could be. "You could have died," she said. Angela stepped closer. "So could you. You took control. Because no one else would." Diana exhaled, her voice cracking. "I've never let anyone stand beside me like that." "Then you'd better get used to it," Angela said, closing the space between them. "Because I'm not going back to the shadows." Diana kissed her like she was still trying to breathe through the wreckage. Like survival meant this, mouth on mouth, heartbeat against heartbeat. Clothes were pulled away, hands tangled, and for the first time, their bodies met with nothing between them. Not doubt. Not rank. Not pain. Just fire. Just love. Just need. It wasn't frantic. It was sacred. Slow. Every touch a question. Every moan an answer. When they collapsed together, skin to skin, breathless and spent, Angela rested her head on Diana's chest and whispered, "They saw me tonight." Diana ran her fingers through her hair. "They saw us." "Do you think it's enough?" "No," Diana said. "But it's the beginning." Angela closed her eyes. "I'm not afraid anymore." Diana held her tighter. "Then neither am I." The port came into view at sunrise, golden light spilling over the horizon as if the world itself had been waiting to welcome them home. After weeks at sea, after storms and blood and impossible confessions, the silhouette of land looked unreal. Angela stood at the bow, the wind lifting her hair, the salt clinging to her skin, and the ache of the moment tightening in her chest. This was the end of the journey, but it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a question. Diana stood beside her, arms crossed, unreadable. She'd barely spoken since they spotted land.
And Angela understood why.
They both knew what waited at the dock wasn't just solid ground. It was decision. News had traveled ahead of them, somehow. As they approached, Angela saw it clearly. Black cars.
Suits.
Her old world wrapped in polished leather and precision. A delegation from the corporate offices she'd left behind. Faces she recognized. One of them, Brandon, her former COO, stepped forward, lifting a hand. The crew around her stiffened.
They didn't trust land.
Didn't trust people in tailored coats. And frankly, Angela didn't either. "You don't have to speak to them," Diana said, voice low. "I didn't bring you this far to hand you over. They're not here to take me. They're here to offer me the world back." Diana's jaw flexed. "And, do you want it?" Angela turned toward her. "Not if it means leaving this." "This ship?" Diana asked. "Or me?" Angela's throat tightened. "You already know the answer." "Say it anyway." Angela stepped closer. "I want you. I want this life. But I need to know you're not going to push me away the next time things get hard. I need to know you'll keep choosing me. Even when it's not convenient. Even when it's terrifying." Diana didn't hesitate. "I will. I swear it. I've chosen you in silence. In storms. In front of the people who would have turned on me for it. I'm not going to stop now." Angela nodded. Then, with slow resolve, she walked down the gangplank. The suits stepped forward. Brandon smiled like a man who thought the deal was already done.
Angela.
Thank God. We've been trying to reach you for weeks. The board's in chaos without you.
We have a jet on standby.
If you leave now, you can be in Geneva by morning. There's a new offer on the table. More power, more control.
You won't just be CEO.
You'll be untouchable. Angela listened. Quiet.
Calm.
She looked past him, to the jet-black car idling behind, to the life that once defined her. The woman who controlled everything, trusted no one, kept her world in clean lines and tight fists. Then she looked back at the ship, at Diana, standing at the edge of the gangway, watching with a face carved in stillness, but with eyes that burned like the sunrise. That was power. That was risk. That was love. Angela turned back to Brandon. You're right. I used to want to be untouchable. Used to, he asked, confused. I spent my entire life building walls. I was proud of how high I stacked them, how impenetrable I became. But then someone kicked the door open, stole my life, and gave me something better in return. She smiled. Freedom. He blinked. So, you're declining? I'm not declining, she said. I'm choosing. I'm choosing her. She turned, walked away. Every step back toward the ship felt lighter, stronger. And when she reached Diana, she didn't wait. She took her face in both hands and kissed her like she was claiming not just a woman, but a future. The crew cheered. Diana wrapped her arms around her like she'd been holding her breath for weeks and finally remembered how to exhale. You came back, Diana whispered. I never left. Hours later, with the land fading behind them and the open sea stretching wide, Angela stood at the helm. Diana beside her. No longer prisoner and captor. No longer broken and healer. Just two women who had chosen each other in fire, in storm, in defiance of everything that told them not to. Where to? Angela asked. Diana smiled, brushing hair from her face. Anywhere we want. Angela grinned. Then let's get lost. The ship cut through the waves like it belonged to them. Because it did. Because they belonged to each other. And out there, under endless sky, they weren't running. They weren't hiding. They weren't surviving. They were free. Thank you so much for being here and for believing in this channel. If you feel in your heart, you can donate with super thanks so I can focus more and more on this project. Your support helps me keep creating these love stories and bringing them to life for you. See you in the next video.